Hi students, here we are going to learn a poem of Standard 9 of NCERT English textbook. The name of the poem is A Legend of the Northland, poem number 5, written by Phoebe Carey. A Legend of the Northland. This poem, Legend of the Northland, is a ballad. What is a ballad? A ballad is a poem narrating a story in short stanzas. Here in the whole poem you can see all throughout 16 stanzas are there. Each stanzas have 4 lines. So here it is narrating a story in this short stanzas. And you can say this ballad are a part of folk culture that are passed on orally from one generation to the next. So here A Legend of Northland is a ballad. Now let us see the title of the poem, A Legend of the Northland. Legend is a historical story. Legend means a historical story. And what is Northland? Northland is a place in the northernmost part of the earth. It is a place in the northernmost part of the earth. Here the exact place is not specified in the poem. It is near to the North Pole. It may be Russia, Canada or Alaska. It is not at all specified here in the poem. Now let us move ahead. Away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few, and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through, where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows, and the children look like bear's cub in their funny furry clothes. So these are the first 8 lines of this poem. Now first let us see the meaning of the difficult words here. Northland, I told you that it is a place near to the North Pole. It may be the Russia, Canada or Alaska. Okay. Where the hours of the day are few. Where the hours of the day are few. That means the duration of the daytime is very less. In the North Pole region, the duration of the day is very less and the nights are so long in the winter. And the duration of the night is too long. The duration of the night is too long. The day is less and night is too long that they cannot sleep them through. That they. Who is the they here? They means the people. Okay. They is the people here. The people cannot sleep them through. If they go to the bed, take few hours of the sleep and after that they wake up, it's still night time. Okay. So here the poet wants to emphasize the fact that the duration of the night is very long. Where they harness the swift reindeer. Where they harness the swift reindeer. Reindeer is an animal which we can see in our Northland. It is an animal which we see in the North Pole or the northern region here. They harness. Harness means what? To tie an animal. That is what we call harness. To tie an animal. Okay, to tie an animal. Where they are tying the animal? In the sledges. What do you mean by sledges? Sledges means cart in which the people sit. It is a cart. It is a cart. Just like we have the ox cart here. Here the cart was run by the animal reindeer. It was pulled by the animal reindeer. And it was tied together. And the reindeer, it moves very fast. Swift means what? Very fast. Swift means very fast. So when they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows. So Northland region, it experiences severe cold condition and it is a snowy area. So here the reindeer is an animal which is found in the North Pole region or the northern region. People tie this reindeer to sledges, to the cart, and the reindeer pull the sledges. And what the reindeer do? They pull the sledges. And again the poet says that children look like bear's cub in their funny furry clothes. And the small children, it was too cold there and the snow was there. So the children look like young ones of the bear. What does a bear's cub means? Bear's cub means young one of the beer. Young one of the beer is what we call the bear's cub. And in their funny furry clothes, looking funny, they wear this funny looking clothes made with the fur. Furry means fur. Okay, furry means fur. The clothes made with the fur. So this is the explanation of the first 8 lines. Now let us move towards the explanation of the next stanza. They tell them a curious story. I don't believe it's true, and yet you may learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you. Once, when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below and walked about it, preaching just as it did, you know. They tell them a curious story. Who are the they here? Who are the they here? The they means the elders. Again, the parents, or you can say the elders. They means the elders. Elders tell them. Again, them. Them means what? Them means to their children. Okay. The elders tell the story to their children. A curious story. What do you mean by a curious story? It means an interesting story. A strange story. Curious story means an interesting or a strange story. I don't believe it is true. I here is the poet. The poet says that I don't believe that the story is true. And yet you may learn a lesson. Yet you, who is the you here? You is the reader. Yet you readers can learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you. If I tell the story to you, you readers can learn a lesson from this. Okay, so the elders tell their children this interesting story, but I don't believe, the poet don't believe that the story is true. Anyway, if I tell you the story, you readers may feel it interesting, and at the same time you can learn a lesson from it. Now let us move towards the incident. What happened there? What is the story? Once when the good Saint Peter, who is Saint Peter? Saint Peter is the apostle of Jesus Christ. Apostle of Jesus Christ is called Saint Peter. What does apostle means? It is a follower. Apostle means a follower or a disciple. Jesus Christ had 12 apostles and Saint Peter is one among them. Lived in the world below and walked about it preaching just as he did, you know. So here poet says about Saint Peter. The story is about the Saint Peter, and what he tells us about Saint Peter, he walking around the world. Saint Peter is walking around the world preaching. Preaching means what? To give religious speech. That is what we call preaching. To give religious speech. Okay, so Saint Peter was moving here and there around the world, and he gives religious speech just as he did, you know. Okay, so now the story starts, or the incident, what happened here, starts from the next stanza. So this is a picture of the Saint Peter, the apostle of Jesus Christ. Now again we will move towards the next stanza. He came to the door of the cottage. He came to the door of the cottage in traveling round the earth, where a little woman was making cakes and baking them on the hearth. And being faint with fasting, for the day was almost done, he asked her from her store of cakes to give him a single one. So he came to the door of the cottage. Cottage means what? A small hut. Okay, a small house. In traveling round the earth, walking around the world, he came to the door of a cottage. He knocked at the door, where a little woman was making cakes. A small woman was there, and what she was doing? She was making cakes. She was making cakes and baking them on the hearth. And what she is doing? She is baking this cake not in an oven. She is baking it in a hearth. Hearth means what? It is a fireplace. Okay, she is baking the cake in the fireplace. And being faint with fasting, and our Saint Peter was faint. Faint means what? Weak, or you can say tired. Weak or tired. Okay, Saint Peter was weak or tired with fasting. He was very hungry, and he is feeling weak. For the day was almost done, because for the whole day he was doing fasting. He has not eaten anything for the whole day. He asked her, he asked this lady, her means here the lady. Here he asked the lady, what he asked the lady? From her store of cakes. From her store of cakes, Saint Peter asked this lady to give him a single one, to give him a single cake. Okay, Saint Peter, while he was traveling around the world, he came to the door of a house. He knocked at the door and he see a little woman was making cakes at there. And what the how she was baking it in the fireplace. And our Saint Peter was very faint, and being weak and faint or tired and hungry, what our Saint Peter did, he asked her from her store of cakes to give him a single one. Now let us move towards the next. So she made a very little cake, but as it baking lay, she looked at it and thought it seemed too large to give away. Therefore she needed another and still a smaller one, but it looked when she turned it over as large as the first had done. So here she made a very little cake. So she had so many cakes in her store. Still she started making a very little cake. Why? Because she wanted to give this cake to Saint Peter. So here we know that this woman is a miser. This woman is a miser. It is clear from there. That is why she makes again another little cake, small cake. But as it baking lay, when she put the cake for baking, what happened to the cake? She looked at it. She looked at the cake and thought that it seemed too large to give away. She thought that the cake was too big to be given to someone. Okay, she made a very little cake and she put it in for baking. And at that time, she looked at the cake and thought that it is too large to give to someone. Again, she needed another. Needed means what? Needed means to make the dough. Okay, that is what we call needed. To make the dough from the flour. That is what we call from any flour. That is wheat flour or all-purpose flour. That is what we call knead. She needed another. She needed another cake and still a smaller one. It was a smaller one, but it looked, when she turned it over, again when she put it for the baking, as large as the first had done, it seems or it looked like at the same cake what she has made before. Again she was not ready to give the smaller cake to Saint Peter. Okay, so she started making another smaller cake. When she looked at that cake, she again felt that it was as big as the previous one. Again she was not ready to give the smaller cake to Saint Peter. She turned it over as large as the first had done. Now let us see the next answer. Then she took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it flat and baked it thin as a wafer. But she couldn't part with that, for she said, my cakes that seem too small when I eat of them myself are yet too large to give away. So she put them on the shelf. So what she did again? Again she took a tiny scrap. Tiny scrap means what? Small amount. That is what we call the tiny scrap. Okay, she took a small amount of batter again, the dough again, and rolled it flat. And she started rolling it very flat and very thin as a wafer. You know that the wafer is very thin and very flat, but she couldn't part with that. Third time, this is for the third time she is doing the things. This is for the third time. What she did? She took a very small amount of the dough and rolled and rolled. Here the poet is giving the emphasis for the word rolling. She rolled it to make it very thin like a wafer and baked it. But she was so greedy. Here it is clear that the lady was very greedy. So what she did? After that she couldn't give this cake, this piece of bread or this cake to the saint. For she said, what is the reason? What the lady said to our Saint Peter, my cakes that seems too small when I eat to them myself. eat of them myself, and yet too large to give away. So she put them on the shelf. The woman reasoned that when she ate the cakes, whatever cake she made, when she started eating it, she felt that they were very small. Okay, she felt that the cakes are very small. When she eats, at that time she felt if she had to give them to someone, if she want to give them to someone, what happened? She felt that they were too big. She feel that the cake were too large or too big to be given away. She put all the cakes on the shelf. She put all the cakes back on the shelf. She put the cakes back on the shelf of her kitchen, and she did not give any cake to Saint Peter. Okay, Saint Peter was still standing there. She did not give any cake to our Saint Peter. Then good Saint Peter grew angry, for he was hungry and faint, and surely such a woman was enough to provoke a saint. And he said, "You are far too selfish to dwell in a human form, to have both food and shelter, and fire to keep you warm." And what our Saint Peter did here? Then good Saint Peter grew angry. Then our Saint Peter became angry. Why? Because Saint Peter was very hungry and he was very weak. And what the selfish woman is doing, she was not ready to give him even a small cake. This behavior of this greedy woman makes Saint Peter angry. Provoke means what? Provoke means to get angry. Okay. So this greedy woman make our Saint Peter angry. And he said, after that, what Saint Peter did? Saint Peter said, he means here Saint Peter. What our Saint Peter said? You are far too selfish to dwell in a human form. Dwell means what? Dwell means to live. Okay. You are very selfish to live in a human form. To have both food and shelter. You are getting enough food, you are getting enough shelter, and fire to keep you warm. So what he did? Saint Peter cursed the woman. Here Saint Peter cursed the woman. Okay, cursed the woman and said that she was very selfish and she did not deserve to live. She did not deserve to live like a human being. Then again Saint Peter added that God had given this lady or this woman enough food and had given her shelter, fire to keep herself warm, but she had become selfish for all the resources she had. She had got all the resources in her life. She is very happy. Still she is very selfish. She is very greedy. She did not want to share the things with anyone. She is not ready to share her things with anyone. Again we will move towards the next. Now you shall build as birds do, and shall get your scanty food by boring and boring and boring all day in the hard dry wood. Then up she went through the chimney, never speaking a word, and out of the top flew a woodpecker, for she was changed to a bird. Again what happened here? Now you shall build as the birds do, and shall get your scanty food. This is the curse. This is the curse what the Saint Peter has given to this young lady. Scanty food means what? Scanty means very little. That is what we call scanty. Okay, scanty means very little. By boring and boring. Boring means using the beak. Making a hole in the tree using the beak is called the boring. You know what the woodpecker is doing? The woodpecker using its beak, it makes hole in the tree to get the insects as the food for the woodpecker. All day in the hard dry wood. Dry wood means what here? The forest. Okay. So you should strive hard the whole day to get your food. Saint Peter cursed the woman that she would become a bird. That she would become a bird, that is the woodpecker, because she did not deserve the human form. She shall become a bird, and just like the bird build their houses. How they are building the houses? By digging the wood. The woodpecker by digging the wood and using its beak on the wood, and collect very little food by working hard. By working hard, it is collecting very little food from there. The entire day it was working hard. Similarly, she should also work hard in the day, in the dry wood, that means in the forest, all the day, and she will get little food and make a that means and after that what she will do? She will make a small place to live in. This is the curse given to this young lady by our Saint Peter. Then up she went through the chimney, never speaking a word, and out of the top flew a woodpecker, for she was changed to a bird. As soon as Saint Peter cursed this woman, what happened? She did not get a chance to speak herself. Okay, she did not get a never speaking a word. She did never get a chance to speak herself. At that moment, she flew up to the roof. She flew up to the roof as the form of a woodpecker. Saint Peter Curse had converted this woman into a bird. She became a bird here. Then top flew a woodpecker because she was changed to a bird. She changed into a woodpecker here. Now let us move towards the next stanza. This is the woodpecker, the bird. You can see the woodpecker here having a red color scarlet, a cap like scarlet in his head. Now we'll move towards the next. She had a scarlet cap on her head. I told you that scarlet. What is a scarlet cap? Scarlet means a brilliant red color. A red color cap. That is what we call the scarlet cap. And that was left the same. And the scarlet cap was still there on her head. She didn't remove the scarlet cap. It was still there. That is why in the woodpecker you can see the red color cap. That color. But all the rest of her clothes were burned. Whatever the rest clothes were there in her body, it became burned black as a coal in the flame. It got black as a coal in the flame. And every country schoolboy means the schoolboys in the rural areas, has seen her in the wood. They see this bird in the wood. Wood means what? In the forest. They see this bird in the forest where she lives in the trees till this very day, boring for wood. So people who live in this countryside sees this kind of bird. Then the elders tell their children the story that the bird used to be a woman earlier, and Saint Peter cursed her, and she turned a bird. And from this, the children will get a lesson that they should not be greedy. They should not be greedy in their life. Okay, so this is a very beautiful poem. A Legend of Northland is a very beautiful poem written by Phoebe Carey. Now we'll move towards the figure of speech or the literary devices of the poem. So the rhyme scheme of the poem is A B C B. You can see in any stanzas, if you take you can see A B C B. Okay, so now let us move towards the first stanza. From there we will start learning the figures of speech. See, this is the first two stanzas. Away, away in the northland where the hours of the day are few and the nights are so long. It begins like that. So here you can see repetition. Here you can see the repetition. Away, away. The same word is repeated. So what is the figure of speech used there? It is repetition. Okay, it is the repetition. And again, in the third, yes, again you can see here fourth line, that they cannot sleep them through. The sound the here. Again you can see the here also the sound is there, then again the sound. So alliteration means what? That means the first consonant sound, the consonant sound of a consecutive words in a series is getting repeated. That is what we call alliteration. So here the sound is repeated. Then again okay, fur, in their funny furry clothes, fur, the sound is repeated, so that is the alliteration. So alliteration is there. And again if we move towards the next stanza, we will see second stanza also the repetition is there. The repetition is there. And again another one what you can see here is simile. Okay, see in the third line, in the second stanza, in the third line you can see the similes here. Children look like the bear's cup. Children look like the bear's cups. Okay, like I told you that if like or as is there and if comparison is going on, and in direct comparison we call it as a simile. So children is looking like a bear's cups. Okay, so here our figures of speech or the literary device used is simile. Then again if we move towards in next stanza, we will see again the and the, them and the. Again the alliteration is there. You can see the alliteration there. And if you come towards the next few lines, the alliteration you can see throughout the poem. Okay, alliteration you can see throughout the poem. Yet you, the year sound is repeating here. So alliteration you can see throughout this poem. Then let us see what other figures of speech are there in the poem. He came to the door of the cottage. Here also you can see were, where a little woman, where a little woman was making. So were and were is repeated here. Them, the is repeated, and again the word the is repeated. Here also the, them, the and hearth, the is repeated. So again the alliteration you can see here. So again if you move towards the next few stanzas, then again in the stanza number 15 we can see black as a coal in the flame. Black as a coal in the flame, that is what we can say. Again the simile is there, that is in stanza number 15. See, black as a coal, black as a coal. As is used here, an indirect comparison is given. Black as coal, her clothes become black as coal in the flame. So here again the simile is used. Then again the next figure of speech what you can find here is anaphora. Anaphora you can see in stanza number 12. Okay, stanza number 12 you can see the anaphora. And he said, you are, in that stanza. I'll show you the stanza here. What is anaphora? See, here you can see the anaphora. What is anaphora? Anaphora means a repetition of a word at the beginning of two or more consecutive lines. Here you can see the two, again the two. In both these lines this two is repeated. Okay, at the beginning of the lines if any words are repeated, but the line should be consecutive, then we call it as an anaphora. So here the figure of speech what we can see is anaphora. In the poem, if you move towards the poem you can see the anaphora again. Then again the next figure of speech what we can see here is enjambment. Enjambment you can see in the line 3 and 4 of the stanza. I'll show you. In the first few lines we can see the enjambment. What is enjambment? Okay, so what we can say enjambment? Enjambment means the running lines without any punctuation marks. Okay, running lines without having any punctuation marks is what we call the enjambments. That means the lines are running, the lines are moving towards the one line to other, but it doesn't have any punctuation marks. Here you can see the nights are so long in the winter that they cannot sleep, them through. This line and this line having a continuation, this line and this line having a continuation, that is what we call enjambment. Running line, it doesn't have any punctuation marks. So line 3 and line 4, winter and that, this is what we call the enjambment. Again you can see the enjambment in the poem in stanza 2 also. In stanza 2 see the reindeer and to the sledges. Okay, so here also we can't find any punctuation marks, so here also we can see the enjambment. Okay, we call it as enjambment. So enjambment means what? You should know what is an enjambment. As running lines without any punctuation mark. It should be in consecutive lines. That is what we call the enjambment. So this is the figure of speech of the poem. So please go through the poem well and learn it well, and it's a very beautiful poem. Then I told you that before also this is a ballad. So what is a ballad? I told that ballad is a story. It's narrating a story in short stanza. So here we have seen altogether 16 stanzas are there. Here in our poem we can see altogether 16 stanzas are there, and very beautifully the poem has explained here. And I have explained the meanings also, the figure of speech also. So please go through the poem and listen it well. Then at the same time you have to, if you like the poem, just click there like, and you can give your comments also. Then share it with your friends, and also those who have not subscribed, please try to subscribe it. Okay, thank you. So we will meet again with the next poem in our next class. So thank you for now.